Hello, my name is Danny. Welcome back to my channel, Current Chapter. Today I want to talk about all the books I read in the month of May. So let's talk about books. In May, I read a total of 10 books, which is a lot. It was mostly audiobooks, honestly, and I read all kinds of things. I read thrillers, I read fantasy, I read nonfiction, sci-fi, dystopian, mystery. So there was a lot of things happening in May. I read 2 physical books, 3 ebooks, and the other 5 were audiobooks. 2 of the ebooks were arcs from NetGalley, so let's start with them. The first book I finished in May was Walking to Aldebaran by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and like I said, it was an arc from NetGalley. This is a very short sci-fi story that kinda in the beginning gave me vibes of The Martian, but it's not really anything like it except a guy is stranded in another planet. But other than that, it has nothing to do with The Martian. So it's about this astronaut. He gets stranded in this other planet after a mission goes wrong, and it tells the story from his point of view, what's happening there while he's walking around this planet and seeing a lot of weird things. I don't want to give too much away because, like I said, it is very short. There's also the point of view from the space agency people, the people who send this mission to the planet. So everything leading up to what happened to him and also what is happening right now to him while he's there. And it's insane. It's like a crazy. I recommend it if you like to read dense stories. It's very dense, it's very complicated. I struggled a lot to finish this book and it's so short, it's like 140 pages if I'm not mistaken. It has a very complicated language, so for me it was hard to finish the story just because it drags a lot, but that's kind of the point of the story. It's not like a fast-paced, fun guy in the moon doing things. No, it's not like that. It's like he's kind of going crazy. You don't know what's real. You don't know what it's his imagination. So it gets very abstract at points of the book. So I really recommend if you like this type of story that it really gets abstract and you don't really know what's happening. And if you like artsy science movies, I really recommend that. It's kind of that vibe. I think I would like this in a movie format much more than I enjoyed the book, but it's one of the most insane, like, mess with your head books I've ever read. The second book I read was another arc from NetGalley, and it was I'll Never Tell by McKenzie. This was the first book by this author that I've read, and I think it was written very well. Like, I really wanted to know what was going to happen, and I kept reading. I probably read this one faster than the last one, and this is much longer because it was very interesting to read. But at the same time, I feel like nothing happened in the book. I'll Never Tell is a thriller. It happens in this camp. I'm trying so hard to find words to explain this book without spoilers. Oh my god. So, it's a thriller, and 20 years ago, this girl was found by the lake with her head smashed by something, and no one knows what happened, who did that to her, and there are some suspects, but the police ruled everyone as innocent at the time, and that was never solved. Now, 20 years later, the children of the owner of the camp get together because their parents passed away in a car accident, and they are inheriting all the camp and everything from them. But there's a catch. In their father's will, it says that to get the inheritance, it's not exactly that, but they kind of have to figure out what happened to Amanda. That would be a good summary. So it's very interesting. The premise is very interesting, and everyone goes to try to find what happened. Of course, as a thriller with multiple characters will go, everyone is hiding something. You never know who's telling the truth. And that was a very interesting aspect, but I kind of predicted. There was one big thing in the book that I didn't predict, but most of the others, including the ending, I predicted, and how they handled it in the end for me it was just kind of too easy. So I was a little bit underwhelmed by the book, but still, I wanted to keep reading it, and it was really interesting to know what was going to happen. So I think it was a very well-written thriller that kept me guessing, but it just didn't deliver right at the end. Going off of that, I'm not doing this in any particular order, just as I remember things. So I read 2 more thrillers this month. I read A Simple Favor by Darcey and An Anonymous Girl by Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen. And both, again, they were not my new favorite thrillers. A Simple Favor, I picked it as an audiobook because there was a movie and I was interested in seeing the movie and I thought I'd read the book first. And because there was a movie, I thought it would be much more fun and surprising and thrilling than it was. It's a story about a woman who calls her friend and asks her to pick her son up at school. That's something that they used to do a lot. And then she never shows up to pick her son up and she just disappears. That's the premise of the story. Again, it's a very interesting premise, but this one, I kept listening to the book because there are multiple voice actors, so I always liked that in audiobooks. And it was interesting enough to keep listening to it, but I didn't like it so much. It was one of the worst thrillers I've ever read. I'm not interested in seeing the movie at all. I don't know if you've seen the movie, let me know if it's better than the book, because the book was just very disappointing. And the last thriller I listened to in May was An Anonymous Girl by Sarah Pekkanen and Greer Hendricks. This is a story about this woman who takes the place of this college student to take a morality and ethics survey from one of the professors in the school. And the survey asks very personal questions to her, and she kind of just goes with it and tells the truth about everything. And then things spiral from there to places that I didn't expect, but they were not good places. They were not like good surprises. I felt like it just got kind of more boring as it went. So the beginning of the book was so interesting. I was just so curious to see what was going to happen with all of that. And then it just like, okay, this is not interesting anymore. Again, I finished the book. It was better than A Simple Favor, honestly, just because there was a lot of discussion of morality and the characters were always thinking about their actions all the time. That was one very interesting thing about this main character, is that she was very skeptical about everything and she would question everything that was happening and she wouldn't just trust people right away. And I thought that was a very good thing in a thriller, because usually people are very naive and that's not how she was. So I really like that. Other than that, it was another disappointing thriller. So I'm looking for a new favorite thriller. If you have recommendations, please let me know. Please leave a comment and tell me good thrillers that I should be reading, because these 3 were meh. And also, I'm not saying any of my ratings for the books, but you should follow me on Goodreads and on Instagram, because I leave all my reviews on both of the platforms with my rating. On Goodreads, I round them up or down depending on the book, and on Instagram, I have like my most accurate rating. So do remember to follow me on those platforms and on Twitter if you have that as well. So the nonfiction book that I read was a book called Games User Research, and I'm not going to say much about it. I am a user experience researcher and designer, so I'm interested in this kind of stuff, and I love video games, so one thing that I do want to do in my career is work as a games user researcher. So I read this book and it was really amazing. A lot of the themes are the same as in normal user research that I'm already used to doing, but there were still a lot of new things that were introduced, and it was a very interesting read. If you have anything to do with this field, I recommend it, and yeah, that's it. So there are 3 more audiobooks that I have to talk about, and then I'm gonna go to the physical books. This is going to be so long. I listened to the 4th book in a series of unfortunate events. That was The Miserable Mill. It was one of my least favorites so far. It was still fun. I laughed a lot. I really enjoyed the audiobook. If you got to this point, I recommend you continue. It's a lot of fun. I also listened to The Selection. So I don't know how that happened, but it was available and I was suddenly interested in seeing what The Selection is all about. I had so much fun. I went into this book not expecting a lot because it's basically romance. I already don't like romance a lot, but I knew it was romance, so I knew what I was getting into. And I was very surprised. The relationship, like the friendship between America and Maxine, was very surprising to me. And that was something that I really enjoyed reading. The selection happens in a dystopian future where this prince has to select a girl to marry, and that girl will be the future queen at some point. And they hold this selection process where they all dress in beautiful dresses and they go on dates with the prince, and he's supposed to select one in the end, the bachelor in a dystopian future. That's pretty much it. It's just like a fun thing to pass the time. I don't know if I would recommend this book to a lot of people. I recommend it if you're interested in seeing what it is all about, but other than that, it's completely passable, but it was still a lot of fun. So I don't know what more to say about it. And after I listened to The Selection, I kind of felt like I needed something with more substance to it. I don't want to say trash about Selection because I did enjoy my experience, but I did feel like I wanted something more that would make me think more, I guess. I don't know. And for that, I listened to Animal Farm by George Orwell. That was a reread. I have read this book so long ago, I don't even remember. I was kind of worried when I decided to listen to this audiobook that I wouldn't identify all the themes and everything behind this story, because when I read it the first time I was studying it for school, so I knew what to look for, and this time I was just reading it for fun. But it's literally impossible to not get what he's trying to say. Animal Farm is about this farm where the animals talk to each other and they decide to take over the farm for themselves because they don't like the way they have been treated. So one of the pigs decides to get all the animals together and to take over the farm from the humans. And they do that and things start getting out of control. I think it's a very short story, and it's like I said, it's so easy to understand what he was trying to say with it. So in one way, it didn't make me think as much as I hoped it would, I guess. But I really recommend it. If you want to read a short classic that you won't struggle too much to know what it's all about, because I know there are some classics that are more dense and that are harder to understand, and you have to know everything, the context and everything about the author's life, maybe to know what he or she was going for. And this one, I mean, there is more to it if you study it, if you know the time where he was getting inspiration from, but still, it's pretty clear what he was trying to say. So I really recommend it. It's really cool short story to read. And the audiobook is amazing. They sing in the audiobook. There's a song in the book and they sing it in the audiobook. So it's really cool. Last but not least, I read 2 physical books this month. I'm going to leave the best for last. The first book that I will talk about is Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. This is a young adult fantasy in which there's this country that was invaded by a really mean, bad king, and he killed all the rulers of the world. He killed the queen in front of her daughter, Theodosia. She was 6 years old at the time, and he kidnapped her to make an example for the rebellion. So everyone that would rebel against his kingdom, she would pay for it. She would be tortured because of it in public. And she has lived with that for 10 years. She's 16 now, and she's still struggling with what's happening. She's still trying to figure out who she really is, because she grew up in this world and she actually made friends in it, although she never really know who she can trust. She usually just doesn't trust anyone. An opportunity appears to rescue her and to take her from this world. So she wants to run away and get away from this king. At the same time, she wants to kill him and take back her throne. But yeah, a lot happens in this book. This is also a trilogy. I haven't read the second one yet. This was better than I expected, honestly. It wasn't the best young adult fantasy I've ever read. The next one will probably be it. But it was still amazing. It was much more violent than I expected. It's brutal. Everything is graphically explained, and it's awful. I am interested in seeing what's going to happen in the rest of the series, but it's not really a priority. It's not a book that I loved so much. The ending was very open. There's still a lot to happen, a lot to resolve and to answer. I don't know. There's a lot of romance also, which, like I said, it's not really my thing. I like the fantasy aspects better, and I really wish that there would be more magic to it. The magic system is very interesting. It's based on the stones that they mine, and they can be used for, like, if someone is very strong and was blessed by the magic gods, they can use those stones in a very strong way, or they can just be used to make someone prettier. So that's a very interesting magic system, and I think that it could be explored a lot more, and I hope it will be in the next books. Let me know if you've read the next one. If there is a lot more of magic in it, I would be much more interested in reading it. But yeah, I recommend it if you don't want to go too much out of your comfort zone in young adult fantasy. And also if you're okay with violent themes. It's not like nothing in like sexual nature. It's just like really violent. Like I said, she's tortured a lot. She's bitten, and everything's very graphic. And she's in a lot of pain all the time. So yeah, there's that. Last but certainly not least, is one of my favorite books of the year so far. It was one of the most surprising reads of the year because I wasn't expecting to love it this much at all. And that's The Crown of Feathers by Nicki Preto. So Crown of Feathers is another young adult fantasy. It happens in this world where a long, long time ago there were these two princesses. The one had animal magic and the other one didn't. And for political reasons, these two worlds of people who have animal magic and people who don't kind of got separated and got into a fight, and all the Phoenix Riders had to go into hiding or they died along with their phoenixes. Phoenix? Plural. I'm just going to keep saying phoenixes. There are these two sisters, Val and Veronica, who have animal magic. They are trying to find phoenix eggs to hatch and to become Phoenix Riders, but they have very different mindsets on what their journey should be like, and they get separated, and things go from there, and we meet so many new amazing characters. This is another young adult fantasy, and it's so different from all the others that I'm reading lately that it made me so happy. There's so many characters to meet and so many different things happening in this world. One thing that I'll say that a lot of people complain a lot about this book is that there's a lot of world building, and yes, there's a lot of world building. If you don't like to stop your plot to learn about the world and the magic and the story and everything, the lore of everything around it, this is going to be a problem for you with this book. It set up the world so much for the next books, so I think that all the world building, all this setup is going to be really important for the sequels of the book. Of course, we have a lot of unanswered questions. We have a lot more to do, and a lot more things need to happen in this world. I'm probably going to do a separate review for it because I just want to keep talking about it nonstop. Yeah, I really recommend this book so much. It is one of my favorite books of the year. It was so surprising how much I loved it because I just thought it would be a fun fantasy, like cool thing to read. Just like Ash Princess, it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't anything more than that. And this book was amazing. Those are the 10 books I read this month. Let me know if you have read any of these books, if you're interested in reading any of them, if you want to know more about them. Remember to check my Instagram and Goodreads accounts because I talk there a lot. And remember to like this video if you enjoyed it, and to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever I post new videos. Thank you so much for joining me again. Bye!